Welcome back, everyone, to the Humor Career Insights podcast, your guide to navigating career success in a world that's changing faster than ever. I'm your host, Vache, a certified professional career coach, human resources consultant, and founder of Humor. Whether you're just starting out, climbing the ladder, or pivoting after years in the workforce, this podcast is here to equip you with the insights and strategies you need to thrive. This season, we're tackling a topic that's on everyone's mind: the future of work, how to stay relevant and thrive. From the rise of AI and automation to the shifting demands of leadership and the skills that will set you apart, we're diving deep into what it takes to not just survive, but thrive. To help us unpack this, I'll be joined by some incredible guests, industry experts, thought leaders, and professionals who are shaping the future of work. Together, we'll explore practical strategies, emerging trends, and actionable advice to help you stay ahead of the curve. So whether you're looking to future-proof your career, embrace new opportunities, or simply stay inspired, this season is for you. Let's get ready to thrive in the future of work, starting now.
This podcast is proudly sponsored by Go My Code. Go My Code is a leading tech education institution dedicated to bridging the digital skills gap across Africa and equipping learners with the skills to thrive in the ever-changing digital world. Want to launch your career in tech or future-proof your skills in a tech-driven world? Go My Code is your go-to partner. Get hands-on training, work on real-world projects, and join a global tech community that supports your growth. No experience, no problem. Our courses are designed to be accessible, practical, and job ready. Start your journey today by calling us on 0208 730 470 or visit us at gomycode.com/ke.
Today, I'm thrilled to welcome Hannah, a customer service mindset mastery trainer, positive intelligence coach, and co-founder of Hesina Consultancy, who helps teams thrive in high-pressure environments. With decades of experience from Gulf Air to American Express and a passion for mental fitness, she's here to unpack how human-centric skills like resilience and empathy will define success in the AI-driven future of work. Hannah, welcome to Humor Career Insights.
Thank you, Bachi, for having me, and thank you for the beautiful introduction.
So, Hannah, I like to start with asking my guests to share a little bit about themselves. I'd like you to imagine you're at a dinner party and the host is the only one who knows you. What would you like him or her to introduce you?
Wow, I like that. Let me see. Maybe I'd ask them to get everyone to raise a glass. And then he would say, everyone, meet Hannah. She's a lover of life, a lover of nature, and a paid forwarder. Hannah finds joy in seeing people transform right before her eyes. And for work, she's the creator of the 5 pillars of outstanding customer service framework. And this is a framework that takes complex customer service models and makes them simple and easy to implement. And I'd also like him to say what I like to do for fun. So I'd like him to add that for fun, she can be found playing tennis, swimming, or even taking long runs in the rain. How about that? Is that a good introduction?
That is a fantastic introduction. And considering that I have seen you doing those long runs in the rain, I think that is a befitting introduction.
Thank you.
I like the 5 pillars and I want us to talk about them a little bit later. But for now, I'm interested in your journey volunteering with the Red Cross. How did that early experience shape your philosophy on resilience and service, which are the things that are critical in today's evolving workplace? And I know they are also a cornerstone of your training.
Yeah. So Vachi, let me tell you a little bit of how I came to be in the Red Cross. It was by accident. You know, those days I remember people who were in the Red Cross used to go on international trips and I loved to travel. So honestly, when I joined the Red Cross, it's because I had my own selfish motives. I wanted to travel. So I joined the Red Cross. I took the classes, the first aid classes. I became a first aider. And honestly, I thought all I had to do was go into the scene and just, dress a few wounds with a few bandages and that was it. But a few years into the Red Cross, or even a few months into the Red Cross, I realized that there was more to it than just dressing wounds. And within a few months, I knew that my motivation was more than just traveling, international travels, because I realized that you had to be truly present when you're in that scene. When people are wounded, not only physically, but also emotionally, we had to be present, we had to listen, and we had to respond with empathy. And I guess this is where that seed of taking care of others was was planted. And I also realized that this is where my mindset was shaped into the way I approach customer service training, because great training is not just about giving information. I always say that great training is about connecting with the people, being aware and being adaptable to the situation at hand, and also the ability to deliver to the audience so that they feel understood.
That is excellent. An accidental landing led you to your purpose, because that's where service came into it.
Absolutely.
Now, your career also has high pressure industries like aviation. You worked with Gulf Air, and you also worked with Amex, which is finance. So with Gulf Air, you were a flight attendant, right?
Yes, I started off as a flight attendant. That's correct. Yes.
And that is service.
But what people don't see is the high pressure that goes on behind the scenes. Yes.
What timeless lessons did you learn from these roles?
I guess if I was to pick one, it would be resilience. Yes. The resilience that you take. You know, Batia, I can tell you, when you're on that flight with all sorts of different people with all sorts of demands, and you have to be patient with each and every person. And we used to have this joke where you say that people think we are flight attendants, but we are not flight attendants. We are nannies. We are cooks. We are first aiders. We are psychologists. We are therapists. We are doctors. We are nurses. We are everything. And you had to be all that packaged into this one person. And yeah, in every flight would have so many different situations, and you had to deal with them, because it's not like you can just call someone to come and help you when you're 30,000 feet above the ground. So yeah, I learned a lot about resilience. And don't forget, people forget that we are there mainly for safety, not the service itself. We're there for safety. And you know what they say, one wrong move and there could be a disaster. So we had to communicate a lot, communicate amongst ourselves, communicate with the flight deck, and you had to make sure that you're listening to everybody. You shouldn't think that just because somebody's a customer, they don't know what they're talking about. If they told you that they've just had a strange noise, or they think they can smell smoke coming from somewhere, you can't just dismiss them and say, what do you know? I've been flying for 20 years. I know better than you. You really, really had to listen and also ask the right questions. Yeah. So I can say that foundation was very, very good for me to later become a trainer, so that I can be able to train people based on my experience.
Yeah. So, Hannah, you know that AI and automation are having a moment at this time in our lives. And you just mentioned resiliency, service, and communication. Now, I don't want to assume that AI and automation are reshaping customer service. Can you tell us, are they? And if they are, those things that you mentioned, those critical lessons, will they remain relevant in today's world?
Wow. That's a great question, Batia. You know, I've had lots of questions around AI and customer service. And I always say, we are yet to see. We're yet to see how AI will impact customer service. But there's one thing for sure, Batia. When I think about it, AI is great. AI is good at data. AI can process anything faster than any human. But there's one thing for sure. AI does not have a soul, and it never will. So even though the transactional side of business will be replaced by AI, I still think that there are sides where we still need the human being in front of you when it comes to the resilience, when it comes to empathy, when it comes to feeling understood. I feel that is a place where people still need your energy as a human being and not just talking to a machine. You know, I was just reading a very interesting article the other day that said that when people call, for example, the bank, and there's this automation that is speaking to them, and there's always that option of press 0 to speak to an agent. Guess which one people press? 0 to speak to an agent. Why? When they could have simply gone to a machine. It means that we're still craving that connection with human beings. Now, will this be the same 20 years from now? Honestly, I don't know. I don't know what will happen. And let's just wait and see. But for now, I believe that AI is here. AI will replace us. But for the next 10 years or so, we will still need human beings. We will still need human beings because we want to have that connection with other people.
That is so true. That connection, it's missing in those automated responses. And I am one of those people who will be screaming into the phone, give me a person, give me a person. I even do it with the chatbot. Can I speak to someone? Can I speak to someone until I eventually get to someone?
Yeah.
Come on, that's what I do.
Absolutely.
And when you think about in service, automation in service, I'm sure you know of the robot cafe here in Kenya. Yes. So for me, going to the robot cafe and for my kids, it's the fun of just seeing the robots moving around. But honestly, I prefer speaking to the person.
I hear you. Well, I actually haven't been to the robot cafe. I'm actually looking forward to going there. And I think it's fun, especially for kids, when they see a robot coming in with their order. But I'm thinking of it in the long run. You know, sometimes you just have that one person who's sitting there and they just, even if you're not talking, you know, but you know me, I'm a big believer in energy. And I believe even if that waiter or waitress just comes and puts down, you know, your plate, your coffee, and then they walk away, there's an exchange of energy there. And that is not going to be there when we have the robots serving us. So for now, I'm just waiting and seeing, but I hope we won't get to that point where we completely do away with human beings. And also, you know, I'm Kenyan. I'm thinking about the unemployment in the country. When I think about, for example, a cafe that employs maybe 20 people, and when I go there, they only need 3. My question is, what are we going to do with the other 17? You know, that will bring a whole new set of problems, which I don't think we are ready for at this time.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yes. And I've had conversations with some of my guests, and we were talking about, you know, which jobs will be lost.
Yeah.
With AI and where are the opportunities. So is it progress? Okay, AI is here with us. AI automation is here, right? We cannot deny it.
Yes.
And we are facing those job losses.
Absolutely.
So do we stop that progress because we need to save jobs, or do we reinvent or encourage those in those jobs that are going to be taken over or are going to be done, like the manual repetitive work, that are going to be done by automation, AI, robots? Do we encourage them to reinvent themselves? And is this something we are facing in the customer service world?
Yeah, great. I like that question. In customer service, I keep saying, let's proceed with caution. Yes, let's adopt AI, but let's proceed with caution. So as we proceed, we're also looking at the new problems that are coming up, maybe things that we had not thought about before. And somebody also says it's going to get very messy before it gets better when it comes to AI. AI is not perfect. You know, it will make mistakes. And then we need a human being to come and reprogram the AI about those mistakes that maybe somebody had overlooked. So in the short run, I would say, yes, maybe we all need to educate ourselves on AI and know how it's working, so we know when it's not doing what it's supposed to do. But at the same time, yes, we will need to do a lot of reinventing. And I think you mentioned some jobs will come up, or some jobs will blow up. And I was looking at a list that had listed some of the jobs that we need to start training ourselves in. And guess what one of them was? Therapy. They say we will need a lot of therapy. People have lost their jobs. They need therapy to cope. There's that trauma of knowing, I don't know how I'm going to feed my kids tomorrow. And even people working in an office where they're surrounded by machines the whole day. You're just sitting there with machines the whole day. Not even a single human being comes your way. There's no connection with another human being. You need therapy at the end of the day. Yeah, because there will be some shifts, because I don't think that's the way the human brain was wired. The human brain is wired for connection. Now we are removing that connection, a connection that is so important to us, to our mental maturity. So yeah, just to answer, let's proceed with caution. I know it's very exciting and we all want to adopt it, but yeah, let's keep taking 2 steps forward and then 1 step back, just to see how things are unfolding in front of us. Yeah,
I like that answer. And then there is therapy.
Yeah.
And you mentioned resilience, and it brings me to mental fitness. You use that lingo. Please talk to me about mental fitness.
Oh my gosh, Batia, don't get me excited. I love mental fitness. But let me first take you back to how I became a mental fitness coach. I became a mental fitness coach during COVID. And I remember, I think it was sometime towards the end of 2021, when a friend of mine, and I call her a friend and I've never met her. We were virtual friends. We met in a program that we had both taken and we became friends. And then towards the end of December 2021, she comes up to me and tells me about this program that she's taking, but they need to be in pods, and each pod needs about 5 people. And she went on to tell me that there were 4 people, but they needed a 5th person. And honestly, I was webinard out. You remember COVID, all is on lockdown, all is in front of our computers. But she was like, Hannah, if we don't get a 5th person, we can't proceed, and nobody's interested. So honestly, I signed up just because I wanted to do a friend a favor. So I signed up, and it was supposed to be a 6-week program, and it was free. And I thought, I'm just going to do it. And then after 6 weeks, I'm off. But I can tell you, by the 3rd week, I could feel myself shift. Because what positive intelligence does is that it gives you practical tools on how to shift from focusing on the negative to focusing on the positive. And I could feel myself using those same tools on myself, and they were actually working. And I was like, this is too good. I need to continue. So after the 6-week program, they gave us an opportunity now to continue into the now coaching program to become a coach. And I signed up right away. I must have been one of the first people to sign up. And that's how we became our mental fitness coach. Now, fast forward, I actually had to take my program and actually reinvent the whole program during COVID. And I knew that I had to have something in there to do with mental fitness. So I've actually got a whole module on mental fitness. And at the end of my programs, I always do a survey. You know, trainers were very big on surveys. So I always do a survey, ask people, what did you like? What would you like to see more of? And guess which is always the most popular topic? Mental fitness, or what we call positive intelligence. Everybody says this is just a whole new look at the way we look at the world, because positive intelligence tells you that, and I'm using the two words interchangeably, mental fitness and positive intelligence. It basically tells you that just accept it. Challenges will be there. There will always be a challenge, but it just tells you that challenges are good. Embrace them. Get excited every time you have a challenge. So when you have this challenge coming your way, instead of getting upset, just ask yourself, wow, what is this challenge meant to teach me? What is the gift that I can take away from this? So I always talk to people in customer service. We have this whole session where we talk about all those crazy things we've been through, and everybody's very upset when they remember that customer who came along and the customer was so hard to please. Then I start to shift them and I tell them, now look at that customer and get excited. Look at that situation with a lot of curiosity. Imagine you're walking on the beach and there's this rock and you just want to look under the rock and see what's there. Get excited about the situation. Now look at it from a different perspective. What did you learn from that? And they're like, yeah, I never want to see that customer again. And I'm like, okay, now let's move into empathy. Look at that customer with a lot of empathy. What do you think that customer had gone through to make them react the way they did? Do you think they just woke up that morning and they decided that they're just going to walk in and just give everybody a hard time? And they're like, actually, he did mention something about, his son was in hospital or something like that. And I get them to look at that situation that they've been in and look at it from a different perspective. Have a lot of empathy for anybody who was involved in that situation. They must have gone through something for them to decide to complain about every little thing that you did on that day. And then I tell them now to look at that and ask themselves, looking back at the end of my life, when I look at this situation, what do I want to smile and say that it taught me it was not a wasted challenge? And by the end of it, they're like getting excited about things that they had completely decided they never want to think about. And just this shift on looking at challenges is very, very welcome in the customer service world, because anybody in customer service is constantly dealing with problems. Constantly. We used to call it firefighting. You're constantly firefighting, and you're probably firefighting something that had nothing to do with you. It was probably somebody else who didn't do their job right. Now it's landed on your desk. And it's very easy to get stressed and overwhelmed. But when you look at it from that different perspective, it just changes your whole look on life and your whole look on work, and everything that you do.
I had never thought about it from that angle. So it's a complete mindset shift from internal, from me, shifting from me to the other person. And that's really what empathy is, trying to put yourself in the other person's shoes. And that way you don't take it personally.
You don't take it personally. Absolutely. Yes. And we also talk a lot about forgiveness. I have people saying, I'll never forgive that customer. If he walks in again, I'll never look at them. And we tell them, what they say about forgiveness. It's like taking poison and expecting the other person to die. It's you who's poisoning yourself. So you really need to release them, but you're not releasing them like after I've released them, but you're releasing them from a place of empathy. Like, I release you, like a balloon, blowing up a balloon and just watching it fly and believing I've just released this and it's not going to be part of my life anymore. But you're doing it from a place of that person did not hurt me because they wanted to hurt me. They hurt me because of something probably they were going through. I'll give you another story because I like to read a lot about customer service, what did you call them, incidents that happen, and I see how it was dealt with. And this lady was working in the US, and she said this gentleman walked in, and he walked into a fast food restaurant, and he asked for, I think, a burger, but with no pickles. So, we're human beings, we make mistakes. So the person on duty got the burger, and guess what they put? Pickles. And the guy had very clearly said that he did not want pickles. So he opens his burger, and guess what he finds? Pickles. So what does he do? Blows his top, screams at everyone, takes the burger and throws it against the wall. And the manager was watching everything from a side. Now, in customer service, sometimes we're told there are times when you just have to throw the customer out, So she's sitting there thinking, do I call security? And I asked them to handcuff this guy and take him out. But something told her not to. So she came in and she told that girl who was dealing with the customer to, just step aside. I'll take it over from here. And she said, customer, we're terribly sorry. It was our mistake. Please give us a chance to make this right. And it's like, what do you mean you want to make this right? You never get it right in the first place. And she kept saying, we really want to make this right. Please give us a chance to make this right. We really want to make this right and want to make sure that you don't walk out of this place without us having made this right. So she went ahead, made another burger, took it to him. Came to him, the guy is almost in tears. So she's like, oh, is everything okay? Then he started apologizing profusely and said, I don't want to get emotional, but he said, this morning as I was backing out of my driveway, I knocked my son. And he said, we took him to hospital. I've been in hospital all day. I forgot to eat. As in, I was so busy. I didn't even realize I was so hungry. We've just left him in the ICU. And honestly, we don't know if we're going to make it. And if my son dies, I don't know if I'll ever forgive my son. And at that moment, she was like, thank God I didn't call security. Because that was what she wanted to do. Call security, get him handcuffed, probably even write a police report. And the guy ended up apologizing. They ended up sitting there with him. And this is where I keep saying, sometimes AI cannot replace anything. They sat with him. He had his burger. He just wanted to talk. You know how you just need someone to talk to and just let them know what you're going through, get the emotions out. And they sat with him. And I think that day they closed past midnight just listening to him. And they were like, so do you think you can get home? Can we call you a cab? Do you want us to call, 911, someone to escort you home and stuff like that? And I think eventually they got someone to escort him home. And yeah, that story really got me to thinking what my mentor who taught me customer service told me. You just don't know what's going on with this person. You just don't know what's going on. And when I was a flight attendant, I remember we had a similar incident where this guy got so drunk, and we had a procedure for people who were too drunk, because we had to protect. And we got to a point where we said, we're sorry, we're not serving you any more alcohol. And he was screaming and shouting. Eventually he fell asleep. And then we had to wake him up because we were landing, please sir, we need you to wake up. We need you to fasten your seatbelt. And on the landing, the guy just started sobbing uncontrollably. And we're like, okay, what's going on? We thought it's because he was drunk. Everybody got off and he didn't want to get off from his seat. So we're like, hey, sir, we've arrived. I don't know if you've noticed, but everybody has disembarked and you're the only one here. That's when he says, I really don't want to get out. We said, what's going on? He said, I'm actually coming for my daughter's funeral. So that right then we understood why he had been drinking so much, So I guess what I'm getting at is that every behavior comes from a place that we probably don't know. Yeah. So whoever it is, that customer that you're facing, just think, I wonder, just ask yourself out of curiosity, I wonder what could be going on here. I wonder who hurt this person so bad that they're behaving the way they're behaving.
For me, these stories are saying to me, we cannot take the human out of service.
Absolutely, Patty. Yeah. I don't know how AI will ever replace that. Well, somebody told me, you just don't know, AI has gotten so intelligent. But as I go back to what I told you earlier, AI does not have a soul. So there's some things will be very hard to replicate because a soul is made up of so much that as human beings, I don't know, you can just put a code to replace that because it comes with so much history,
I think as I have been going through this conversation, the exclamation mark for me really is that we can use AI as a tool, but it can never completely, totally replace a human being.
Yeah.
And I think it's more clear in customer service as I'm speaking to you now, the clarity of that in customer service is almost impossible. Yes, we can have the automated call, but more often than not, when you need that empathy, you need the empathy from a human being. There's things that automation can never help with.
Yeah. And I talk a lot about energy. I had signed up for a webinar, and this webinar was calling everybody, just confirming, are you coming for the webinar? So I see a strange number. It's a US number. So I pick up the phone and she's like, this is so-and-so. I'm calling from blah, blah, blah. Am I speaking to Hannah? And I'm like, yeah, this is Hannah. But there was something very awkward about the conversation. I'm just calling to confirm if you're going to come for the webinar. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to come. But there was just, it just felt a bit awkward. And I think I said something and it had not been programmed for that kind of answer. And it gave a completely different answer. And I'm like, this is awkward. And that's when I realized they've used an AI tool to call people just to confirm that they are coming. But there was something missing. The human element was not quite there. And within 2 minutes, I was able to pick up on it. And initially, I didn't realize it was an AI voice I was speaking to because that's how advanced they've gotten. Actually think it's like, hi, is this Vatia? Yes, it is. Oh, how are you doing today? Oh, I'm great. Everything was going well until we started to have that conversation. Then it was a bit... And I think eventually she just hung up in a very... And I was like, oh, this is AI that has noticed that the conversation is going way outside the borders of what it had been programmed to talk about, So yeah, the energy was just not right. The energy was just not right in that call.
Have you listened to the introductory for this season, Human Career Insights? Have you listened to that first episode?
Yeah, not the first one. I listened to, it was not the first one. It was, I think, the two last ones.
Okay, I will send you the introduction. And listeners, if you haven't listened to it, please do. It has a link to what you're talking about now. Yes, like a very close link.
Oh,
So,
wow.
yeah.
Nice. I'm going to listen to it.
Okay. Let's come back to
Mhm.
talking about now the 5 pillars method.
Yes.
I am excited. So it focuses on easy to implement customer service strategies. Can you share, I don't know if you're able to share all pillars, or can you share one pillar that's especially crucial for teams adapting to hybrid remote work models?
Yeah. Wow.
In fact, tell us
Mhm.
about the 5 pillars model first.
Wow. First of all, let me tell you about the 5 pillars method. Oh,
Mm.
this is something that I absolutely love. I love it, because let me first give you a history of the 5 pillars. I
Mhm.
attended a course with someone that I really, really admire because I just felt like during COVID, I had not done much training. So I decided, no, I need to go back and retrain. The last time I trained was when I was with Calfed. So when we did these courses, when he said, you need a specific model that you use every time. Don't keep changing your program every time someone comes along and you give them a brand new program. Because if you keep changing your program, that means you're using your attendees as pilots, because you need to pilot and test your program. So he said you need to come up with a program, and he helped me come up with my 5 pillars. And every time I look at the 5 pillars, I always emphasize, I'm not here to give you information. Information is on the internet. All you need to do is do a quick Google search on outstanding customer service and you're going to get it. So I focus more on the implementation side. How to implement the information that you have into everyday work. How are you going to use that information that you have? Because again, the information is there, but we're also living in an era of the curse of information overload. There's just too much information. You don't know where to start. So when I come in, I do let people know, you know what, you might find my training a bit different. You might be a bit skeptical, but just keep an open mind. This is the way we do it. So just to give you just a brief outline, and no, I don't mind sharing about my customer service framework because I want as many people as possible to know what it's all about. The first thing we start with is the self-awareness. I keep telling you, I talk a lot about putting you first.
Yeah.
You cannot give outstanding customer service if you have not worked on you. So the first thing that we do is the self-awareness workshop, which people absolutely love. So that when we go now to talking about customer service, they've already done the inner work. And another thing I can tell you is that most people who go for customer service training, especially when they've been sent by the organization, honestly, they don't want to be there. They don't. They're coming because they were sent. And it's like, for some, it's just a day out of the office, So that's why I don't start by telling you, oh, the customer is special, the customer is king. No, we need to start with you first. So I do that self-awareness for about 2 hours. We go through that. We're high-fiving each other. And, I love that part because it kind of sets the tone for what we're going to talk about later, which is now the first thing I talk about is the customer experience journey map. The customer experience journey map is where I tell you to identify the emotions that a customer will be going through. So imagine, give the customer a name. This customer's name is Simba. Simba is coming to your organization for the first time. Now, have a mental walkthrough of all the stages that Simba will go through. What are the frustrations are you going to be giving him? For example, is there enough parking? And you're like, oh, I never thought about parking. And I'm like, yes. The stress that he gets when he is trying to park is the stress that he's going to bring to you when he walks into your office. So you really need to pay attention to that. So we walk with Simba. And actually tell them to give the customer a name so that they become real. Who is Simba? Oh, he's male. This is his age. He loves sports. He loves whatever. So now you're really looking at the human side of this person. So what are the frustrations? We call them the pain points that he's going to go through, the friction. It's almost like having a wound. You have that wound, and then every time you touch it, you're causing friction. And the more the more friction that you put on that wound, the worse it gets. So poor Simba, if he did not get any parking, now he's got to come up. He's coming to the office. There's no receptionist waiting for him to at least ask a question. He's looking around. There's no bell for him to ring. And the receptionist comes up, and it's like an attitude. Maybe you've seen them. They come out with an attitude like, yes. I was just watching Netflix. What do you want? They give you that attitude. Can you get over what you're telling me because I need to go back? So by the time Simba comes into your office, he is already so frustrated. He's going to take it out on you. So that's what we do. And I spend a lot of time on this. The first time I did my very first customer experience journey mapping exercise, the company had given me 2 hours. At the end of 2 hours, they said no. And I told them, yeah, you guys have contracted me for 2 hours. They said, no, we want another 2 hours. We spent 4 hours just talking about the emotions I was going through. And we did this for each and every department. And they said that was one of the most powerful exercises we've ever done. Now, they could have gone to Google and read about all the frictions that any customer can go through. But now that they've got someone guiding the conversation, I'm not necessarily giving them any new information. I'm just guiding the conversation from what else is Simba going to go through. And I even tell them, okay, now pick up your phone, call your organization. Let's see how they answer. And they actually put this person on speaker, and you'll be surprised how some of those calls are answered. Yeah, hello, and I'm like, yeah, without realizing you've just caused some friction, because the way you answered, you did not make the customer feel that they were valued or that you're really interested in knowing what they have to say. So yeah, that's another powerful exercise that we go through. Then we do others like complaints are inevitable, but how do you deal with the complaints? There's actually a formula that we use to make, because you can resolve a complaint, but if you didn't ask the right questions, the complaint will keep coming back. So you need to ask the right questions so that to make sure that you've gathered enough information. After you've resolved the complaint, you need to circle back to see what could I have done to avoid this complaint. And another reason why they enjoy this is that because we do assimilation. I don't just take complaints from the air. They come up with a complaint that actually a recurring complaint where there's some sort of, they can sort of see that there's a trend. So we look at that and then we see what can we do about it? What are the questions that we need to ask the customers? And then after you've resolved, how do you then circle back to make sure that it never happens again? Who needs to be involved? Which are the departments that need to be involved? How can we bring them in? And this also becomes a bit sensitive because some departments think that they're being blamed. So you have to be very careful how you handle this as a facilitator. You have to make it very clear. It is not a blame game. We're not here to blame. We're just seeing how we can get better. Yeah, because I've even seen situations where they're like, no, it's your department that caused this, because sometimes there's just so much silos in an organization. So why this is important is because it starts to break down the silos and see, okay, if this department does not get back to this department on time, these are the consequences, And then something that was supposed to be just something so small has now exploded. So I love that section only on complaints. Then we also talk about talking to the angry customer. How do you talk to this customer who's angry, who doesn't even want to listen to you? What do you say? How's your body language? A lot of times we're so, in customer service, we are very enthusiastic and we want to make sure that we're resolving the situation, but sometimes we're not taking time to listen. So it's all about listening. We actually have a whole exercise all on listening, where you tell someone you're going to listen for the next 30 seconds without interrupting. All you need to do is just nod and just pick out all the key words that are coming out. And when we do this exercise, again, everybody's like, this is the first time I've done it. I love customer service and I'm always so enthusiastic about resolving a problem. But now when I think about it, I never really take the time to listen, because that angry customer just needs someone to listen to. And of course, what do you say to this customer? Something as simple as, Mr. Customer, I really want to help you. I really want to make this right. Now, just help me understand. Then you ask the questions that you want to understand. So we go through this again, using a situation that they've gone through. Then now we bring it in. Now looking at that same situation, now that we have this toolkit, we have a whole toolkit of the phrases. And these are phrases that have psychologically been found to win someone over. So we asked them, out of this toolkit, what are the phrases that you could have used now that you know better? And they're like, yeah, maybe I should have used this phrase. Or even reframing what the customer is saying, just taking it and reframing it, so that, because the human brain is weird. We try to exaggerate everything. Yeah. So even if it's just something so small, we really want to, but when you're helping him reframe it, then you're helping him find common ground with you, and then they're ready to work. Yeah, so those are just a little bit about the pillars that I use. And of course, I cannot do a session without talking about mental fitness and positive intelligence. And we look at these situations and look at it now from a different perspective, and we have things we call saboteurs. I think I talked to you about saboteurs last time we had coffee. And these saboteurs, you start to name them and you see which saboteur is messing up with your brain. I know that's a lot to take in, but that's just in a glimpse about this framework that I absolutely, absolutely love.
Yeah. So in is there a way to okay, these are the 5 pillars, A, B, C, D. Yeah. Do you have just to summarize for someone who's wondering how do I frame these 5 pillars? What are they?
Yeah. So in a nutshell, I would say that it starts with self-awareness, the customer experience journey. Then we talk about complaints. We talk about the angry customer. We talk about listening. And of course, we talk about the mental fitness. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So the way I talk about it is that the foundation is the self-awareness. That is the foundation of the pillars. If you don't have that self-awareness and you don't embrace yourself, then it's very hard to also look at the other pillars. So we talk about the foundation. Then we have these pillars, and then now we have the roof, the one that goes above everything, which is mental self-care, which is also mental fitness and positive intelligence. Yeah, that's the way I look at it. And since I started looking at it that way, it just made things so much easier for me to understand, and also for me when I'm explaining everything to the audience and the attendees.
Almost like Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Absolutely, yes. Maslow has his hierarchy of needs. Yeah. Stephen Covey had his 7 habits of highly effective people, and Hannah Karanja has her 5 pillars.
Awesome, Hannah.
Yeah.
Saboteurs.
Yeah.
Saboteurs, if I remember from our last conversation, they're self-limiting ideas, right?
You're a good student. I can see. Wow.
I like to think so. Self-limiting mindset. What's the most common saboteur holding back customer service professionals, and how do you help them overcome it?
Oh, wow. If I was to pick one, I would say it's the high achiever. Now, the high achiever saboteur is a weird saboteur. This is the saboteur that always wants perfection. You know, it wants to be the best. It always wants to be, and it can be a bit controlling. Yeah. So that's the high achiever saboteur. Now, it sounds like a good thing. You know, you always want everything to be perfect. You know, you want to control the situation around you, making sure everything goes as well as you wanted it to. But that's not real life. And the thing with the high achiever, when your high achiever has been triggered, you don't enjoy the journey. You just want to get to the top. I just want to get this resolved so I can make sure everything is perfect. It does not enjoy the journey. And it tends to be very, very common amongst people in the service industry, especially those who just absolutely love being of service. We want it to be perfect. But now when things don't go right, then it starts to beat us up. You failed. You're a failure. You can never do it. Look, again, I knew you were going to fail, and now you just proved me right, because those tiny little voices tend to talk to us. That's what the high achiever is saying to you. So that's where now mental fitness comes. You know, you look at it with kindness. Yes, I really wanted everything to go my way. It didn't go my way, but that's okay, because I took a lesson from this. I took a good lesson from this. And then you ask yourself, how can I make it right? What can I do to make it right? If it's a customer who's upset because you overpromised, now what can I do to make this right? And again, I talk about personal energy and human energy. A customer feels when you genuinely say, I really want to make this right. Give me a chance. This is what I want to do for you. And then you tell the customer what you're going to do. And, you know, we always say that some customers are won over when things don't go right. Yeah, that could be an opportunity, because they're seeing how you're dealing with it. And when they see when you're dealing with it, we have some spikes we talk about in customer service. When everything's going right, you know, there's like a spike like that. It goes down, it goes up, it goes down. But if the customer is down and you deal with it well, then there's a spike that goes in their emotions. You know, they would have been just happy. But now that you dealt with it so well, there's almost that euphoria, like, wow, you know, these guys, they really mean business, and they really value my business. So don't always see the challenges as a bad thing. Mm-hmm. So look at it and say, you know, how can I bring that spike so that this customer walks away feeling even better than even if things had gone right. But the hyperachiever saboteur will not let you do that, because it's so busy beating you up. Yeah.
High achiever, you think it's good, right?
It's supposed to be good, but it takes things too far. Because it's good to want to be an achiever. It's good to want to do everything right. But if you're not enjoying the journey and seeing mistakes and saying, oh, so it didn't go as well as I hoped, but hey, what can I do about this mistake? But the hyperachiever will see that mistake and say, I told you you're going to mess up again. You see, those tiny little voices are always messing up. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hannah, do you use in customer service, do you use personality profiling? Do you use, I ask because I'm a recently certified Gallup strengths coach. And when you talk about high achiever, you know, one of the, like with strengths, they are all these different talents, right? And if you are a high achiever, it will be identified that this is the kind of person I am. One of my strengths is achiever, maybe, right? So I wonder if you use that, and do you think those are some things that are critical in today's world, in the future of work? Is it critical to know yourself, to have that self-awareness that you spoke about earlier?
Gosh, wow, Bache, you know, you can see I'm smiling as you ask this question, but that's because I actually had this conversation just last week. I had what we call a discovery call, and I was explaining to her about you know, the saboteurs, and she actually asked me the same question. Because I guess she's from the same field. She does some sort of something similar to what you've just described. And the answer is no, we don't. But now that I'm getting these questions, I'm ready to investigate and see how I can marry the two. But just to answer your question, what we look at are the saboteurs. And there's actually an assessment that we ask people to take. And the assessment then tells you what your top 3 saboteurs are. And the top 3 saboteurs are usually influenced by what you're going through at the time. But the more that you take this assessment, the more you realize that the top 3 tend to be almost constant. Maybe the order will change, but you kind of notice that we based on nurture and nature, there are some 3 that now we're adults, that the 3 that tend to mess up with us more often than others. But yeah, just to answer your question, no, we don't look at the personalities as such. We have these tiny little voices that we look at, but I can see how the 2 programs can come together. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. Because as you were talking, I that was a light bulb moment for me, because I was like, oh, this is the same sort of thing that we see when we do these kind of assessments.
Yeah.
And like when you do the Clifton Strengths assessment, you see that.
I think I need to do it.
Talks about blind spots.
Oh,
and the blind spots I can see in my mind as being the saboteurs that you are talking about.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So let's look into that.
Yes, we shall. We need to.
Let's talk about leadership and customer service. So there is a myth, or I guess it's a myth, misconception that customer service is frontline, the receptionist, the people you see. What are your thoughts?
Oh, yeah. I like that question, because in customer service, we actually say that CEO stands for Chief Experience Officer. Yes. When you're a chief executive officer, you're also the chief experience officer. It's on you to make sure that every customer that comes in through those doors is getting an amazing experience. And if they do not get that amazing experience, what do you do to make it right? So yes, leaders do need customer service training. And for a long time, every time we used to do customer service trainings, the leaders would send, oh, I'm going to send my secretary for the training. But now we insist and we say, no, we want you in the room as well. And they usually come into the room looking a bit skeptical, but they do realize their role. Like when I talk about the customer experience journey, sometimes some of these things need to be escalated to the top for change to happen. Because when you do the customer experience journey, we also come up, we divide the action points into, the immediate action points that can be done within 2 weeks. And there are some that take longer, that probably need a budget. They need to be budgeted for. But if you're not completely sold on why that thing needs to change, as an executive, you probably won't sign it off. You'll be like, oh, this can wait. So we do need buy-in from the very top for the customer's experience to be wow and to be memorable. Yeah. And talking about leadership, there's a podcast that I've been listening to, a podcast that I absolutely love, and he's always talking about leadership. But I can't help but see the similarities, between leadership and customer service, because a lot of times he says when you're talking to a customer, focus on excellence and everything else will follow. And I'm like, wow, that's what we talk about in customer service. And he's talking about leadership by telling the leaders to focus on excellence. And you're actually talking about customer service. So yeah, I do see very many similarities between leadership training and customer service training.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the future of customer service. Okay, what's your thought? What's your first thought when I say the future?
The future of customer service.
Yeah.
Future of customer service. Let me just say that a part of me is worried because we're removing human beings. We remove that human connection. So part of me is worried, much as I'm a positive intelligence coach and I want to look at the possibilities of how we can make this better for people who work in customer service and even for us when we're receiving service. But a part of me is excited to see what new opportunities will open up. But I've said this before and I'll keep stressing it. Let us not completely remove the human being from service. We still need that connection. We still need to be in that energy of other people. They say that after COVID, Beyonce had a concert, I think in Dubai, and people thought, yeah, everybody's been watching music and YouTube videos. Who's going to go for a concert? And her concert was completely sold out. So the question is, where are people buying tickets to watch songs that are on YouTube? Why? We want to be in that energy. We want to be with other human beings. We want to be there cheering for our favorite, whether it's our favorite football team or our favorite politician or our favorite singer, in this case, Beyonce. Why was it sold out? Some people paying $2,000 just to see her perform a song that they could have watched on YouTube. So yeah, let's not remove the human element from everything that we do. Let us make sure that we're still connected with other human beings.
I think it goes back to our 5 senses.
Oh yeah.
And that all our 5 senses need equal attention in most cases, right?
Yeah.
What are we doing with YouTube? Just looking.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But now, when you are in the actual show,
yes,
your 5 senses are all,
yes,
they are all stimulated.
I like that. Yeah, and we need that. We need that stimulation. We need that. That's what we're put on this planet for. Yeah, not to sit behind our desks the whole day, not interacting with others. And if we're seeing them behind a screen, we do want to sit side by side next to another human. Yeah.
Hannah, over an hour, I think now.
Where did time go?
Where did time go?
Yeah.
So this is really a very insightful conversation for me. There's a lot more to customer service.
Yeah.
And just shows that there's so much depth to everything.
Mm-hmm.
And when we're talking about the future of work, where in every single sector, there's a lot to delve into. Yeah. You and I are both coaches.
Yes.
I want to wrap this conversation up with something from you on how is coaching relevant in today's world and how is it relevant for the future of work, if at all?
Yeah. Wow, thank you so much for that question. I'm not saying this because I'm a coach, but I say, especially now with everything around us changing, that's when you need a coach more than ever. We need coaches to help us navigate all that is happening. And even for me as a coach, I keep saying I need a coach to help me navigate everything that is going on, all the changes going on around us. Just someone to walk with you side by side and just help you to see, you talked about blind spots, things just to help you navigate this way and just keeping you accountable. Okay, last time this is what we said we will do. Or talking about saboteurs, there's something called an avoider saboteur that makes us procrastinate, especially when we're facing something unexpected. We tend to procrastinate. That's where that coach comes in. Oh, but we talked 2 weeks ago. This is what we were supposed to have done. So have you done it? And I always say that sometimes I'll not do something, but the fact that I know that my coach is going to call, I end up doing it because I'm expecting that call from her. So yeah, I think coaching is more important now more than ever.
Mm-hmm. I think so. And I was a little bit sad to discover that someone I speak to almost on a daily basis did not know that I was a coach. Oh. And they ended up getting coaching services from someone in another world altogether. Like, they had to go online, whereas we could have had coffee together. So I'm going to make a deliberate effort now to say to my listeners, if you would like a coaching, positive intelligence, Hannah is here. Hannah, how do people get hold of?
Wow, thank you so much, Bache. Yes, with all the changes going on, we all need to be shouting from the rooftops that we are coaches. So yes, if you're looking for me, please, you can find me on LinkedIn. Just look for Hannah Karanja, and that's HANNAH. My last name Karanja is KARANJA. So get in touch with me. You can book a discovery call. I'll be happy to talk to you more about customer service and about positive intelligence.
Excellent. Thank you, Hannah. And listeners, if this is the first time you're listening to me, I am a certified professional career coach, certified Gallup strength coach. And if you'd like to hear more about that, you can find me on LinkedIn, Bache Chibafa, BATJECHIBAFA, and you can also find my website, Huma, www.humhr.org. Looking forward to connecting with you. Until next time, stay inspired.